A fighting fury, we're from Tigerland. In any weather you will see us with a grin, risking head and skin. If we're behind, then never mind, we'll fight and win, for we're from Tigerland. We never weaken till the final siren's gone.
Folks, welcome to the Wednesday night team selection night with Tiggs and I. Hope you're all doing well from everywhere around the world. Still haven't updated the intro, so it's still the same old footage from ever since I uploaded it. So I will have to get someone to fix that for me. But Tiggs, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm pretty disappointed. I've realised blue is not my colour. I feel like I look horrendous. Mate, I don't know why it is. I think it's because I've got the dual monitors going and with all the 9 gig computer LEDs. Yeah. It looks like I've got no blood circulation, but I'm actually quite healthy.
Maybe you just borrowed the blue jumper from Malcolm. He might have lent one to you.
Yeah. How you been, mate? You enjoyed your 2 weeks?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. The Villa was the first week, which was a beautiful spot for the wedding, and then the resort the second week was definitely probably my favorite part, just because we could relax a bit more. The kids were just running amok on the slide, and all you can eat and drink, and no one got barley belly, so everyone's a winner, I guess.
No, you look nice and refreshed.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. But look, there were some footy games that was going on, so I've kind of caught up as best I can. I was able to watch the Collingwood one in its pretty much in entirety whilst there, and then I caught up on the Gold Coast game begrudgingly when I got back, even though I knew the result. But I feel like, I said this on the Monday night show, I felt like that watching the Gold Coast game after already knowing the result made it feel less harsh, because I was probably seeing things a bit differently than maybe what I would have felt emotionally and emotively if I was watching it live. How did you feel about, because I haven't spoken to you for a couple of weeks, if you want to go through quickly your thoughts on the Pies games, if you've got any, and the Gold Coast game?
Yeah, it's funny, they're polar opposite. The Pies game, at the end of the day, I was really proud of the club. I was stoked with Uze's performance. I think he coached really well that night. We fought. They got away with us in that third quarter, which is going to happen with the way how we're disjointed in our system of movement, right? Our actual game plan. And I've been harping it all year, and I've been copping it on the socials. Oh, we've got a game plan. And it was good at the end of the game that Uze's admitted that, particularly our forward half game, there's very minimal moving parts. That tells me what we thought at the start of the year and what we heard in the off-season was true, that we've just bedded down a simple 1 or 2 things in the forward half game, keep it simple, and then if it goes awry, it goes awry. And that's what we've done, and it showed throughout the course of the year. And that's what I harp on when I say Uze, I believe he's a great rebuilding coach. I think we've chosen the right guy, but I haven't had one gut. Probably the Collingwood, actually. The Collingwood game, it was actually the first game throughout the whole year, and even though it was a loss, that I said, you know what? If he builds on that, I can see him getting us into finals and then taking us to the next step.
Yeah, and I think it was good to see it against a quality side too. Like
that's
that was always the
had
big
something
thing
to play
for us.
For.
Yeah, and I mean, we obviously saw a few weeks earlier against the Crows and Geelong that we just weren't able to execute it at the level we wanted to, largely because of them as well. So I want to give them credit. But it was good to see us execute it a bit more frequently, albeit the conditions were a bit scrappier, I suppose, against the Pies. And to James' racing point, that you can, like the extra layers will come and we'll see a bit more cohesion in the off-season. So it's exciting. Like when you start to see ball movement like that against a good outfit like the Pies, it does give you reason to get a bit excited.
And what I was really happy with was when they did get a hold of us, you could see the animation in him. He actually, and we changed things up. And that's what I've been screaming for. And we showed grit throughout the whole entire game. We showed dare. We showed a want to win. That's how I word. That was the biggest thing that came out of me, is the want to win. And if you compare us to the other teams around us, I'll even say so much as Melbourne down. We're probably one of the one sides that always play with the want to win, even regardless if we don't win many games. But we don't normally go, let's go defense mode, let's go defense mode, let's go defense mode. Let's try to protect the scoreboard. We try to play our way, and that's good to see. So I expect the offseason is going to be huge. I expect that they're going to layer in, offensive defensive/offensive ball movement, i.e. turnover game, start to really refine that and actually work on the forward half. Not particularly just with the forwards, but how we method of getting the ball in there and how do we defend. Because one thing we don't do, and we haven't done all year, we can't defend once the ball is in our forward line. The ball comes out of our forward line more than any other team in the comp, and it's killing us. But and we know why, personnel, but also there's no real structure there. I can't wait to see that. And then, like I said to my mate, I said, I'm more than happy to give him 5 years. I think he's shown enough.
Oh, 100%. It's not an overnight fix. I agree.
Yeah. Let him have his 5 years. I think he's got something. Let him layer it. We need to stack him with talent, though. Right? We need to. Like, I would be throwing the kitchen sink at Horse and saying, I know you could go to Melbourne. Why don't you come to us as director of football? Get someone that's been on top of the mountain that can help. Dan Daly, I'll be throwing everything we can that he's at Brisbane trying to get him back. That sort of thing. That's what we need to be looking at. That's what I'm really hopefully we do more than player movement on the off-field, because if we do that, I think we've got a really good coach in the making.
And obviously the Gold Coast game, feel free to tell me that I'm batshit crazy when I say this, but the game obviously didn't go according to plan result-wise. No. But like I mentioned to you before we started, and I said it on Monday as well, but watching the game, knowing the result, I think I viewed it through a slightly different lens, where in the first half, I actually thought we played really well and were quite competitive. It was simply just our lack of conversion that made it look a little bit worse than what it was. And they only kicked the 6 goals. So I think we actually defended reasonably well. And we had Ben King kicking goals out of his arse on the boundary line, and we couldn't kick simple shots from straight in front, which has been a killer all year. Like, we all know it. I thought in the second half, they did definitely get on top of us and sort of put us to the sword a bit, and our confidence dropped. But I felt like that our confidence was there in the first half and we played well, but then the confidence dropped dramatically when we couldn't reward our effort in front of goal. And it's something we have to somehow address next year. I don't know what the answer is. I'm sure it's just between the years, because you read training reports of the players dropping goals from 50 metres with ease, and then come game day, they kind of all shit the bed a little bit, which adds pressure to the next person in line.
I'm with you about the first half, though. I would say we played dumb football in large parts of that first half. Some of the turnovers were just pathetic. Some of the lack of commitment from some of the midfielders to run both ways was a big red flag, particularly 5-10 minutes into that first quarter. It was like they were just thinking that they were going to just get easy ball, run forward, and we're getting hurt and putting our defence under a lot of pressure. And it's sort of all that pressure at that back line. And our back line was immense, particularly in the first half, in my opinion. Particularly too, Bolter was in. I'll speak about Bolter in a bit, but our defence really held up, and it showed the future. You got your Banks. Particularly Sam Banks himself. He really impressed me. You got Brown. You could actually see our future in our back line stand up to some extreme pressure. And I was pretty happy with that. Our conversion rate is what it is because we really don't have a system. And I think guys that are getting the ball and taking the shots, they've done so much overwork. And that's what gets us a lot. They do a lot of needless running to create space. We're in a proper organised system. They don't have to expand all this energy to get in the same opportunity, if that makes any sense. So when they're kicking with rubber legs, or they're kicking when they're, got to have to catch their breath and all that sort of stuff. So, and Hardwick is getting Gold Coast to what Richmond was, that when Richmond used to have momentum, we would bury sides. Yeah. We would, and that's what they did to us.
It was a really Hardwick type game from a Gold Coast perspective. And I don't want to at all, I'm not at all making excuses, but having a virus lingering around the club doesn't help either. I'm not sure how impactful that was. I was just, the conversion hurt. And to your point, we did have a lot of bad turnovers, and we obviously got smashed around the clearance. Like Matt Rao, he's a really difficult player to tag because of how in and under he is. You can't really tag those types. But they exploited us on the outside, and they got the job done. And, they're a team playing for finals, and they would have been pretty seething after the way we beat them earlier on in the year. And all you can hope for is there's some learnings. And look, you mentioned earlier how you were excited to see in the Collingwood game about things being mixed up. I'm wanting to get your thoughts on what you thought about someone like Morris Jr. starting the game in the middle Sonzi got some midfield action. Seth Campbell did. Tash Houghton was in the midfield for CBA.
Yes.
This was the first time we saw a wider raft of players being used in the midfield.
Yeah, I think the reason for that one was the virus that went through the club. Like, I wasn't aware of that until after the game. And it showed in the second half particularly. I think a lot of guys that played, if you cross the white line, you're fit. But yes, I think they expanded so much energy. And I want to go back to what you said about Gold Coast going into that first quarter and the second quarter game. We've got to prove a point. We actually held up really well.
Yeah, they threw a big punch at us.
Oh, they did. And we basically were duking it out with them. And we were actually, in my opinion, we were matching them quite well. We had flaws in our game, but
territory-wise, we did okay. We actually were doing okay. We just didn't kick a goal, and that was the killer.
We didn't put any scoreboard pressure. So I was actually really chuffed with for me, it showed that we backed up some of that form. And some of the look, I don't blame umpires. Umpires wouldn't change results. But it was gobsmacking, like Morris Riolo. I'll have to, because I was disappointed in his output. He's, like, what did he have for the whole entire game? 7 disposals. But his work rate was quite good. Like, that tackle he had, I forgot who it was, but he tackled the opponent once. Then he tackled him, backed it up with a second effort. Then he backed it up with a third effort. And none of it was called holding the ball. And then there was another contest after that should have been holding the ball. We didn't get paid it. Then another one should have got paid. Then they went up the ground, and guess what they get? A holding the ball free kick, and that scores another goal. Stuff like that was just gives me the absolute shits. But look, it wouldn't have changed. It wouldn't have changed. But yeah, like you said, Dutchie, I thought while we had that energy in the verve, we showed a glimpse of where we're getting to, and we can match it with better sides. And that's something you can't say with North or West Coast. The shit 4 bottom sides. That our consistency of good form in games is starting to get there, starting to cement. And that's what I wanted to see, particularly at the end half of the year. But I reckon the virus really started compounding. Too many players didn't have the tank to go with them. And
like you said, once you cross the line, you're fit to play, but it definitely didn't help. And the Gold Coast got the job done. But, we get a chance this week to redeem ourselves against St Kilda. And like reading the fitness or the injury report, that Taranto was right to go last week. I'm glad they held him off from that Gold Coast game because it wouldn't have made an ounce of difference.
No.
And I'd rather give him an extra week to try and play this week in a game we could win. So I think that's a big tick from a management perspective.
And it's given exposure to some people that haven't had it. And what I'm really happy with, I hope we get, now people are going to hate it, but I actually, because people really ragged Sonzi, because Sonzi's the fucking whipping boy. But I did not hate his performance considering the amount of time he had on ground. Like,
I thought he played okay. Again, he's one of the few who hit targets. So.
Yeah, he did, and he had everyone around him. Particularly in the first half, he was workmanlike. He wasn't a star, but he wasn't our worst player on the field. But in the second half, when Pressure's output, Hopper's output, he started blowing up. The guys at Morris started blowing up. Everyone around him started blowing up. He was the one that, for me, and I looked at it as much as you can look through the TV, that obviously wasn't affected with the virus as much as everyone else and kept on trying to create something. And it looked bad at times. And that's why I think he's copped a bit of hit. But I think he's done enough if he accepts it for another 1-year contract.
I agree.
If he gets someone, we'll offer him another 2 to 3 years. But if we offer him another year and he really wants to stay at the club, from the noise that we're hearing that he really loves the club.
Yeah.
Hopefully they go, look, listen, we'll give you a 1 year with clause that if by round 15, you know how it works. If you get
triggering extensions.
Yeah, if you do this, we'll trigger you for another 2 years. But I'm proud of that. Houghton, for me, was I left that game. I wasn't disappointed with the chef's kiss, right?
Yeah.
He just shows that we've hit the mark on that draft pick.
Yeah.
Right? And if you look at the draft picks that we have had, we've hit the mark on Houghton. We've hit the mark on, I believe, in Fall. We've hit the mark on Armstrong because from my opinion, he had a good game. We've hit the mark on, I always forget the skinny dude.
Trainer,
yeah. Trainer, we've hit the mark. Laylaw, we've hit the mark. So that's 5 so far out of the 7 that we've hit the mark on. Sims, I reckon he at his first year, he's doing really well. We're not going to see anything from him for 3 years. Bigs take that long. But I reckon I'm bullish on Sims. Can I tell people just to settle with Smiley? Just a tad. Go watch his vision. Just go watch his vision. last year and the year before, and the year before that, the consistent body of work this boy's done, right? He's come into our club. He had a major injury when he came into our club, I believe. And obviously his body shape, we could have been irresponsible and played him and he would have broken down. And even so, what we've done is done concerted effort to get him right. And we've cotton wooled him. I reckon he'll hopefully have a full preseason and get ready. This guy I'm most bullish on. I said it before. He is not a red flag. I heard some say, "Oh, he's a red flag." I could get your concern, but if his injuries turn right, keep in mind Grimes used to be injured all the time.
Yeah,
and look what he turned out to be for us. So let's just take our breath with him.
I think so too. I think us being able to manage him like we are is a luxury we have because we took 8 kids. I think it's a lot less impactful. I truly get the impatience of everybody. I've got it too. I'm sure you've got it as well.
Yeah.
We just want to see the kid play. We want to see him play properly. And it was interesting over the last couple of days. I've been talking to a few different people, and there's even been some suggestion that he may have even grown to closer to the 197, 198 centimeter mark rather than the 195 he was drafted at.
Yeah.
So if that's true, then that again takes a bit of readjusting for his body type. And it's a player of that size is a bit of a unicorn and uncharted territory for us as a club. And I think we're going to be learning a lot about how to manage and build a player like that. But it does sound like, from what I've heard from some people who know players and whatnot, that the players are excited about what he's going to bring to the table once he's on the park fit and firing. It's just going to take, a bit of time for him to understand his body at that size, playing as a midfielder. You've got to remember he's above a key forward or a key defender height.
I want to highlight Tubby's because he actually stole my thunder. Well done, Tubby. Tubby's comment. If you can highlight that, Tubby Josh, fantastic mate, great minds. The thing is with Sims, he is getting his body right. So what we've decided, he generally is going to play midfield wing. Outside midfield. That's where I see him getting in, eject like Bont used to, or defensive halfback to play into the midfield and then run on. That's what his role going to be. I can see it. And this year's a perfect year. We've got Hopper, Taranto, Prestia. Yeah, let's get his body right. Let's get all these injuries out. Let's just really put a proper system in place to get him high and hardy for next year's offseason. And I applaud the card for doing that. Could the club been a lot more transparent? Yes, they could have been. But the thing is, you can fix a player's body type. You can improve a player's skill level. But one thing you can't do is change a player's character. And that's where I think he's going to be the best out of all. Smiley's character around the club is like the impact. I'm not going to overflate it, but he's like a Cochin in that regard. He just, this is from what I've heard and from what I've heard in his junior days, he brings everyone around him. Players love playing with him, right? Because the character of the bloke. So we've definitely got to jam. Just fingers crossed his body stays right, and I'm more than confident it will. And this time in 24 months,
we won't even be thinking about this moment in time.
No, it would be going, my God. We've got another first-round pick playing next year that will feel like a fresh pick.
That's how I'm viewing it now too. And I don't know whether it's the right approach, but it's realistically where we're at with it. So I definitely don't think it's a bust. It's way too early to be calling that. And I think if we get him right, and I think we will get him right. We're just learning how to do that because it's new for us as well. That he will burst into the scene and dominate. Speaking of other players, Dion Prestia sounds like, from all reports in the media today, is going to be one more year at the Tigers, which is awesome. There were whispers floating around that the Giants might have been sniffing, but they weren't fully confirmed. It was kind of just some bits and pieces out there. But I'm really happy about Prestia staying for another year. I think for all the conjecture that Ben Serples copped about some of the Lawler injuries, the McKelty, the Smiley, let's also acknowledge that he's kept Dion Prestia on the park since he returned from the injury, which was no mean feat given his history. And Dion's put out some really good performances. And I think you can see the leadership and the coaching value that he adds. And I know there's an argument to be had that he takes midfield minutes away from another youngster, but they're not ready to play the full midfield role like what he would be playing. So there's still a transitional period. And I think him for another year is a good call.
Oh, 100%. And you can't take away, like you said, the impact he has around the ground, but also, he's a lines coach, and he's actually, playing that role. And I can see next year that he will, instead of playing 15-minute quarters, it'll probably go down to 5 to 10 minutes to give more exposure to a Smiley or to a Houghton or a new midfielder's coming in. But we've got him in reserve, so no, it's fantastic. It's the same reason why we've got Lynch. They're all getting massive pay decreases, and they're still wanting to give back to the club. So no, I applaud it.
And it's, for me, on a different level, it shows that Presty's buying into whatever Uze's trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to hang around to help him execute that and put these kids in the best spot possible for when he does hang up the boots. So I do think I think it's a really good sign. So I'm happy for him. All right, we'll get into this we'll try again. We'll get into the team selection stuff, and then we'll talk about some trade targets, because I've seen a few people mention Brody Mychek's one I want to talk about after as well.
Yeah.
But we'll bring up, I think this is your one first. Yep. So your one first. So you've got for the outs, Ross Fall, obviously due to injury, and Noah Bolter, and coming in Broad, Lynch, and Taranto.
Yeah. So look, with mine, Ross, I just really did that in relation to, I want to continue. He had an okay game. I know out of people, because I've just defended Sonsi, but to my mind, he still does. He only had 5 kicks on the weekend. He just handballed. He just would not kick the bloody pill. And that shows me that maybe he's lacking a bit of confidence, like he's not trusting himself. He needs to be more accountable and more damaging. He has the ability to be. He showed in the beginning after the year he could kick goals, and that's all dried up. So I think just give him a run in the twos. We've only got, 3 more weeks to go. It's not going to hurt him. So that's why. And also, it would be my way to say, hey, listen, if you get 5 kicks in a game again and 17 handballs, we're going to have a problem. Just
quickly, Ross being named on the bench, that's my fault. That should be Steely Green. He's the other player that's on the bench. Yeah. So the Jack Ross on the bench should be Steely. That's my fault. Apologies.
Yeah. Fall obviously because of his injury. And Bolter, for me, this year just hasn't been for his year, right? Just has not been his year. What I saw, particularly in the first 5 minutes of the first quarter, it's like an individual playing amongst a team. He just hasn't got the rhythm where everyone else is, which is fair enough considering how deep we're in the system. So for me, people might hate it, but I'll say, I have a run in the twos. Show a bit of leadership. Educate some of our Gipkus is playing in the twos. I want you to pair up with Gipkus in the back line. Start giving him a one-on-one coaching for the next 3 weeks while you're playing with him. Because for me, yes, he might make us a bit more competitive, but let's be honest, we've only got 2 more weeks after this game. So let's keep our draft hand, even if it costs us the next, couple of games. But I reckon it'd be invaluable for the young backs that we've got in the VFL, that they have a Bolter there with them.
I actually wondered to a multi-pronged approach to what you've suggested is that he could still yet play a role in the VFL for the wildcard round and finals and things like that too, given 100%. The amount of games he's played.
Yeah, and that will catch up. That would allow him to, play more games than he would have done in the seniors because he's missed so many games. So that's what my thought about it. If he really, and look, and I believe it is because I do rate Bolter, even though what's happened, I haven't lost faith in the guy's character. But he has an obligation to the club of after what's happened. So let's put money where your mouth is. Show us by playing VFL and being that leader in the back line. That's how I've sort of seen it. So even though he had a horrendous game on the weekend, that sort of, I probably would have benched him anyway, even if he had a good game. Because for us, it's not about wins.
Yeah, he's been a bit out of sorts, hasn't he? And I think as well, what made it a bit more difficult is the back 6 have kind of really settled with him not in the side.
That's right.
So he's kind of just a bit of a floater. However, I thought it was good to have him be able to go up front. I think he provided a nice target for us when we had no Lynch and whatnot available. So I thought that was, I can definitely see and understand the logic behind that. And I think with this many games left in the season, I know the AFL team probably should always be priority, but there needs to be one eye on the VFL team too, because they are a chance to keep playing and going deeper. And I don't think we should neglect that. We should use that as another chance to further develop and grow some of these youngsters in a different environment.
And we're improving our VFL, AFL listed players. So Yeah, for me, it's a no-brainer. Lynch and Taranto for me and Broad are a safe thing. Let's get the team back to what it was, because ideally I'm thinking of an eye of next year. And for me, next year, Lynch is going to be our prime forward for the first 12 weeks. Hopefully Fall and Armstrong start pushing him out. But I'm thinking more, I've picked Lynch, not because of his raw talent, because he's still got it. But I reckon Armstrong has been hanging to play side by side with him.
I agree.
And let him do it for the next 3 weeks. Let's see if they can build a bit of chemistry. And Taranto, obviously, we've missed him. I've got to give a shout out to Hopper, though. He's had a great season. I still believe the two of them don't work together, which is strange considering the GWS background. It's probably the way our list is made up. He's had a fantastic season. He's had a fantastic season. And
again, that one's another tick to Serple for keeping him on the park and him playing at the level he's playing at and the fitness that he's got. I also agree that I think they can work together, just not in the same line. Like if one was half forward, one was midfield, and they swap with each other, I think that works. But having them all in there along with Prestia, I'm still not fully sold on, but I get that the other kids aren't ready yet to shoulder that load of minutes in the midfield. So there has to be some give there. But it's one of those things. I just want to address one comment quickly in the comments. I understand the Collier Dawkins comparison attempt to Smiley, Matt, but I think the one very, very key factor is that Collier Dawkins was about 65 kilos wringing wet.
Yeah.
So a lot easier for him to run around at 193 centimetres and 65 kilos than Josh Smiley at 195 to 198 centimetres and maybe 95 plus kilos. So it's a big difference on that front. But I get the height aspect, but the weight aspect is what puts the load and the stress through the bones and the joints.
Yeah, and the other big thing too is Smiley played against men as well in his last year was against men. And not only did well, he dominated. So, we've got nothing to worry about Smiley. He's not a man-child playing against children and can't do that adjustment up. And I want to say something else, but I won't because of the PC climate. But, it's a good gag, but we'll let it go. But, that's my thoughts. I'm actually bullish about it. I think Camden's going to be retired. I think with Lynch and pressure extending, that makes sense, but you can't carry too many of our older guys across. So I reckon that'll probably be announced, if not this week, next week. It'll be definitely the week after, and give him sort of like a farewell game.
Who's that for? Sorry,
for Camden. I reckon Camden.
You reckon
I reckon he's gone. Yeah. He might try to go to another club like North. I know North had a bit of look at him. Remember a couple of seasons ago, I mentioned they were after Short.
And then wanted experience and leadership.
Yeah, they needed that experience and leadership. And then it came out the year after. Yes, they were after. Broad. Yeah, it was Broad. That's what I said, not Short. But I said they were after Broad or experience type. And then it came out that I was right. I reckon Camden's another name that they wouldn't mind giving a year like they did for Parker. That's what I sort of heard, as I promised you guys I'll start doing a bit of digging. But I don't see him on the list next year, which is good on him. He's will be a legend of the club. But I'm happy with that side. I'm happy with I'm really looking forward to the game against St Kilda. It's going to be a winnable game.
It'll be a cracking game.
Yeah.
I've gone the same inclusions as you, but I've got out Fall, Sims, and Trainer.
Yeah.
Fall, obviously, due to injury, which was really unfortunate. And I actually think he should have been paid the mark as well, which was bloody annoying. But anyway, thankfully, it's not a surgery-related injury. He's just going to recover fine, and he'll hit pre-season all guns blazing, which is excellent.
And he's shown so much. He's shown.
100%. I'm pumped for him.
Yeah.
So I've got Tom Lynch replacing Jonty Fall like for like. Sims, I've put out. It's a bit of a two-part thing. I think that maybe putting another smaller player in adds a bit more balance and speed and run to our team. And I'm also actually mindful of the VFL team not having a ruckman for the last 3 weeks. And this is a bit of a thing to give them a chop out too. Sims can go back and get some confidence playing main ruck in the VFL because we've got Blight, Cozzy, Ruben Hansen. We've got players that should not be rucking in a time where we need to win a game or two to secure a wildcard spot. I just think it can have a beneficial effect for them and for himself, and it makes us a bit more fleet-footed, especially because you've got Bolter, Lynch, Armstrong. So Bolter can second ruck in this scenario, and I think he actually does okay being like a headless chook following the ball.
Yeah.
I actually think that's a strong suit for him, funnily enough. And trainer, Uze documented that he's had a bit of a hip complaint. We tried to have him as sub a couple of weeks ago, then had a late change and played him the full game. It's just simply to give him a rest. No other reason. He's not done anything wrong. It's just a long season for a young kid. And I wouldn't even play him in the VFL. I would actually just let him fully freshen up
100%.
And have a week off. And there's no shame in that. And I know he will hate that because he's a competitive animal, and I love that about him. But I don't want to overwork him and cause something else to maybe happen that we don't want to happen, if that makes sense. So that's who I would roll with. I didn't really tweak too much positional-wise, but yeah, I'd be keen to see a Bolter, Armstrong, Lynch forward line. My only caveat to this is when the opposition have a kick out or when there's a free kick to them deep in our forward line or a mark, Tom Lynch cannot be the player on the mark.
Yeah,
he has
100%.
to drop back to center. He has to drop back to kick behind play because if he stays on the mark, they can gain 75 meters without him getting anywhere near them, and that kills us. And God love him. Like, I know it's just age and he slows down, and I get it.
Yeah.
But you got to have someone like a Mansell or a Morris Jr. as that guy on the mark to shut off the exit routes. And I think that makes a big difference with the pressure up forward. So, and look, I think Nank's getting a bit tired too, and fair play to him. He's battled amazingly for us all year, but he's come up against some monsters. He's had the 1 week off against Essendon, and you'd love to give him a bit more of a chop out, but Hayes Brown is obviously out injured.
I'll talk about that during the trade, and it sort of marries up to, I can't wait because I think if certain ducks go on the wire, we'll solve our ruck scenario with a up and coming, well, probably fairly cemented ruck option that has still 10 years of footy, and that will complement Sims and the other ruck stocks that we've got going up. So I'm pretty excited to see if people have heard the same thing I've heard.
So
But we'll get to that when you give the signal.
I'm going to assume that that's not TDK because that's
it's not TDK. No, it's not TDK.
So I don't know who you're talking about then. So this will be news to me as well. Okay, interesting. So yeah, that's what my lineup would be. But it's a game that's winnable, isn't it, Tiggs? I mean, both teams are going to go in thinking they're a genuine chance here.
If we play the way we play against Collingwood, we'll beat the Saints, right? I firmly believe that they've got some really good top end talent, but they also have some bog average players. So we're starting to play with this offensive high run. If we can just fucking hit a target, right? If we can we do that lovely. We're starting at flashes of a bit of Hardwick, but flashes of a bit of Melbourne, right? That I see when they were winning finals and had that 3-year period where they're winning 16 games. Where we're chaining, we're not only just chaining by hand, but we're chaining by foot. We're doing the short kick, burst, overlap, either handball or kick, and then we're right there and in attacking, but then we miskick it or kick it to advantage of the defender and we spoil all that work. Once we improve that, we're going to be ultra damaging. When
it comes together during phases of game, good. It's bloody hard to stop. Which is the same for all clubs, but I like that we still try and execute those kicks, and they'll start to land more and more, and it'll be very damaging. We just need it's that final connection piece, isn't it? Like I feel like the mids and the forwards are kind of connecting well, working it out of defense, but then when it gets to halfway, no one knows what's going on. There's literally no rhyme or reason, and then that's where it falls on its ass, and we go back to square one, and that's where we're very fortunate that our backline's been as strong as it's been, because often we're getting hit on counter-attack and we're out of position. So for them to stand up like they do is credit to them.
Now we need to make sure that Green, Mansell, Rioli, our smalls are on, because with the lumbering tools that we have and the way St Kilda's backline is, if we do not lock that ball in or make at least the ball going out dirty, we're going to get scored heavily against, right? So we need to make sure that they're, and we need to put a small or a medium. Look, I'd probably even go to Broad, who's done the job. Banks even. Brown is probably the one that I'm more excited for. Brown, you're on Higgins. You just follow him everywhere.
He kills us every time, doesn't he?
Yeah, you get on Higgins and you just stay with him.
What about Wanganeen Malira? I don't think we've got anyone who can actually go with him. I don't think many teams do, to be honest.
For me, Higgins is there. It's weird because, Malira's won them the game, but last week. But Higgins is their barometer in the forward line. When he's up and doing all because he can't speak English, he does all that weird shit. They all walk an extra bit taller, right? So, we need to close him down because one thing with him is not discipline. If you get in his head and really bug him, we'll start getting free kicks from him. But if we can lock him down as a scoring source, because he's a really good player, if we can just lock him down defensively. The reason why I don't prefer Ross, I prefer someone like Brown. He has he's obviously got the defensive makeup, but what Brown has that will worry Higgins, he has a beautiful kick. So if he can mark that ball, take a step, and then deliver it to someone else, and we start going through Brown, it's going to worry the Saints. Whereas if we've got Ross, or what's Ross going to do? If he might win the one-on-one contest, but he doesn't have Higgins' IQ, so Higgins will beat him in, if the ball's a little bit loose, he doesn't have the speed to Higgins, and he'll generally hack kick it or handball it and probably miss the target. And that's no disrespect to Ross, even that sounded really bad, but you've got to know what your limitations are with players. So I want an intelligent, someone with a weapon, sit on Higgins and see what happens.
Yeah, well, I don't disagree with looking after Higgins, and we'll have to see what happens with Wanganeen Malira. He's going to be just a generational talent. He's unbelievably good. Someone made a good point. Yeah, they're going to do with him like what Collingwood do to Dacos. If you try and tag him, they'll shift him to halfback. They'll just flip him around because he's so multi-positional that it's going to be almost impossible. So I think we have to try and just wear the fact that he's going to have 30 and just try and limit the impact of what they all look like.
That's right. And the thing is, he's a good player, but we've got to I got told once back when in my junior days, and I was never an elite footballer, but I've heard from really intelligent people, and they said whenever you've got a weapon that you can't tag or you can't defeat, you put your best weapon on them, because then what that happens is it frees up your guy and it has their guy, and then you actually allow us. You actually got some accountability where if he starts, he gets his goal, our guy gets his goal, and then it goes like that. Gets to a point in a game that one of them is going to go, oh shit, and then their coach will try to do a change, and then you can do something else and layer it. So. Yeah, but Higgins for me is the one that we can control, so let's do it.
Fair enough. No, makes sense. All right, we'll chat about some trade targets quickly. Firstly, I've seen in chat a few people mention Brody Myercheck. So he obviously plays for Collingwood, and I think they're offering 1 year, and he's wanting a couple. I've said for a lot of years that I think he's been severely underrated, and I wouldn't mind him floating amongst the forward line, but I guess I don't know how it would work if Lynch was still there as well. I think the only way I would get Myercheck is if Lynch wasn't there and it was like a Myercheck full Armstrong. I think that would work nicely. I don't think it would work in addition to Lynch and the other players, but is an interesting name. Obviously, Roses Jr. again. I think it was Cal Toomey and Riley Beveridge. It might have been come out again today and said that we're the front runners for him. I don't know about you, Tibbs,
what age is he?
I think he must be early 20s.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like, do you recall what I said to you very early on in the year about the age group that we're going to be aiming for? Because I'm just doing this now because it's going to back up what I'm going to tell you. We're not interested in players that are 27, 28, 29, 30. We're not. We're looking to shore up our 22 to 26. That's what we want. So we're looking for good quality to high quality players that will fill positions in that area. Yes, we've got an idea for a couple of guns, but if we can't get those guns this year, because we're not in the market to pay 1.7 million, even though we've got the cap, right? Yeah, 24. Yeah, that's the perfect age. For me, it's the 24, 25, 26, right? Yep. And we knew that last off season when I was telling you we might trade a future second of, this year, one next year, and then we've got the one after that. But I said the clear target was that 22 to 26. That's what we're going to be going on. And that sort of just firmed up as the year's gone on. I've heard the name thrown to me, which actually got me really excited, and I hope it comes true. And one of the other ones for the ruck for support for Nank is the ruck in St Kilda. What's his name? Marshall. That type of player, but I've heard, I don't know
So-
his contract status. I don't know his contract status.
I mean, he's
or
probably on
anything.
the older side. My only question mark on him is his age profile. But if St Kilda land TDK, clubs are going to be
27,
asking about
28.
Rowan
No, he's
Marshall.
27, 28, I think, for a
Is
tool
he?
that's.
I
I
thought
don't
he
know
was
how
older
old
than
he
that.
is.
Can
No,
anyone
I
do a
think
quick
he's-
check on
I don't
Rowan
think
Marshall's
Rowan
age?
Marshall's that old. But I heard his name come up, and I've heard it now a few times, so it's enough for me to say. I'm not saying it's a lock or anything, but he's.
We're keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, I know his name's. We're keeping an eye on.
And maybe that's as part of a domino effect. If they do get Tom de Koning at 1.7 million, then something kind of gives there.
We're not interested in. We're not that we're not interested. If Tom de Koning came to us and said, "Look, we'll play for you for $1 million here," we'd probably do it, right? He's perfect age demographic or anything like that. But yeah, I've heard Marshall's a name that we've looked at will be an ideal bridge player, and that's what I'm talking about. We want bridge players that we see in our next finals run, period, that might be with us when we win a flag, but will definitely be there to get us to finals and be contributing finals. Does that make sense? So that's the type of player that we're looking at. There's that other Collingwood player. I wish
The one that came out today, is it McCreary?
Yeah, McCreary, that type of player is another
I'd
one
be
that might.
all over him.
Yeah,
he actually defensively tackles. He had 13 tackles alone one week.
He feels a direct need for us. He's the right profile type player. He does something that we don't have. So that's, I know I've just mentioned a St Kilda and a Collingwood player, but that's the types we're going to be looking at across the whole spectrum. I have been promised I've been told to shut up, but in the last game when we have our thing before the last game of the year, I just got to check it with my mate, but he'll be happy, and then I'll come out with the 3 because I know there's 3. Right?
That we're looking at.
100%. 100%. Right? That 100%. But that's what, start wrapping your head around that, guys. We're going from anything from 22 to 26, around about that age bracket, unless they feel a direct need that will bridge. And like, for example, the Marshall bloke to carry our rucks through to support Nag and be that bridge for Sims to get on and so on and so forth. That plays the way we like. We like our bullish rucks. We like our rucks that can actually show that aggression. That's the type of player that we like. How old is he? Now you've got it in my head.
For some reason, the chat on StreamYard's not working. But on YouTube, people have mentioned that Marshall's 29 or turning 30. So 30 in November.
Okay. Well, he fits the need, but I've heard his name. So, I'll make of that of what you will. But that's what we're going to be looking for. So, I wish I could say the 3 names now. But we've got
the age profile makes sense because I think everyone's identified it that there's a bit of a gap between what that looks like. So we've got to fill it somewhere, somehow.
Yeah.
And I guess what those players look like, who knows? So McCreary's 24, so he's another one that fits the age bracket if he was interested in us and we were interested in him. Roses obviously fits the bracket. I guess people were questioning on Rosa, do we need another small forward? But I feel like that him coming would maybe have a domino effect on another small we already have playing a different role, maybe pushing up the ground or something like that.
But look, I know everyone's sort of stopped talking about Butters, but he hasn't re-signed. He hasn't signed an extension or anything like that. And I know his name was up pretty early last year, and it came up again in this off season. So I haven't heard anything new. Are we definitely getting him? But I haven't heard anything. No, we've gone cool. I know with Harley, we're definitely on the map, but we will not be paying 2 million, 9 million, 11 million. We're not that type of club. We pay good money for Prestia and for Lynch, but it was realistic dollars for what they were at the time that we drafted them. They weren't mega huge deals. And the only one that you'll do that mega huge deal for is someone like Dusty. But even in Dusty contract was common sense considering what he already had proven. And he was already on our list. We're going to be okay. We're going to improve our depth. We're going to improve our ruck. We're going to have great draft picks that clubs are hunting for. That's one way it's going to help us facilitate our gap in experience that we have. And
which I think is important.
Yeah, and that's what gets me really bullish. And from what I heard, which really pleased me, Uze is balls deep in it.
Right, as in bridging that
yeah,
gap.
Oh, yeah, he's
I think it's important. I think if we don't bridge that gap with a couple of players, we might struggle for a lot longer, or there might be another fall off. I think it's going to help us become a bit more consistent. And I guess everyone's argument's going to be that if we bring in these players, is it going to take minutes away from these youngsters we've just drafted? Maybe, or maybe they're going to be upgrades on a Hugo Ralsmith, upgrades on a Jack Ross or a Sonzi or whatever it might be. I think as long as we can get incremental upgrades and improvements, I think that's kind of the right tact, whatever the player looks like.
Highlight Matthew O'Malley's comment. I'm not disagreeing with you, brother. I'm not. But I remember hearing that exact same thing said about Hopper. Exact same thing. Mick, certainty, done. Yeah, you're stupid mentioning that we're going to get two GWS players. We get Taranto, but you're full of shit. You're mentioning two. And he's going to Geelong. He end up with
Everyone's going to Geelong.
Everyone goes to Geelong. So, look, where a really good club players want to go to. I think, and it makes sense to me the way it was sort of explained. Sorry, guys, I'm a bit disjointed. It's this thing. Yeah, I'm trying to stay on path with it because I'm getting excited. And when I get excited, I've got to remember to slow down. The way it was sold to me is that if we can show to players of the quality of Reed and Butters that we've got a clear targeted, because this is what they do a pitch, right? That they're not just going to be surrounded with elite kids, that there's really concrete evidence that within 2 seasons, 3 seasons, we're going to be playing sustained finals. Then who knows, we might win a flag. That's what brings them. That's what brings them across.
Yeah, you got to sell the vision.
Yeah, clubs like Essendon and North, they just throw the checkbook and they get that. They either get good quality characters that want to retire, like a Camden or a Parker will go to their club. Collingwood's, Colton's the same. They've got Hewitt and fucking G. With us, that's how we are. And I know we're going to get 2, maybe 3 senior established core players within that age demographic that we can see to play at least minimum the next 5, 6, 7 years of good quality football.
So when you say that, so you're adamant that we will secure 2 to 3 players this year, or do you mean across multiple
this year,
across this year, next year?
This off season.
I'm trying to work out in my head how we make that possible.
Look, all I know is that people are going to come after our first 2 picks this year, right? They're going to come after our first 2 picks next year. Well, our first pick next year, because everyone knows Tassie's coming. Everyone knows that, or this is what they all believe, that we again next year will not play finals. Right?
Yeah, so it's going to be a high value pick. And maybe some of these players could be free agents too, which doesn't require a trade.
Yeah, maybe. But what I see what's going to be is that we're going to cut our list, not aggressively, but we will cut our list this year. Like we've already put lines in this across names, from retirees and players that we might have a contract with that we just want to let go, that we don't think will make it. Someone mentioned Ryan. He's the name I've heard. Though, don't, Ryan, if you're listening, mate, that's over a beer. So, but that type of player that Marte, who's not on a big contract, but he's another one. Yeah. There's things we can do with players being delisted and then going rookie. I don't think they've closed that loophole yet. I don't know. I'm just spitballing, but I do know we'll get probably 3 players. And what they'll do is...
That's a big call. Yeah, just because we don't have the capital. Like I know you can trade 2 years into the future as well.
We've got the cap.
Oh, no, cap space I'm not worried about. It's more about the list spots and the draft capital to be able to satisfy clubs.
Yeah, but we've got the points, mate. We've got the points. Trust me.
Because we've only got the 2 picks this year and then obviously our picks next year.
The 2 picks this year...
Do you know what types of positions we're looking at, or is it just...
The 2 picks this year for me, this is if we don't get like a Butters or a... Right? This is like plan B, the way I sort of guess it. But, our first round pick or second round pick and our third round pick, I think that's how it's going to fall. We'll get 2 and 3. I haven't looked at the ladder. Fucking, where are we on the ladder? We'll probably win one more game. No, we'll get 3.
No, it still should be 2 and 3, but it might turn into 4 and 5 after all the academy bullshit.
Yeah. So 2 and 3, it's got high value. One of those. Let's say we go to 3, we can convert that to 2 first-round picks and a player.
And someone mentioned as well that we could potentially look to split one of those picks too.
Yeah, and we've got next year's first-round pick. We've got so much we can do. We can get the currency in. I've got no doubt about that. And some of these players, they've shown their wares.
So we're not talking. So when I suppose maybe I was getting my expectations wrong. So we're not talking about 2 or 3 A+ players. We're talking about,
they're not A grade. Yeah, they're bridge players. They're good quality. Yeah. That Collingwood bloke that you mentioned that can tackle. He's
like McCreary,
he's good. He's a good player, solid player. He's not their best, in my opinion, from what I've seen of him. He's not a player that I would go, if I had 5 players to pick in the AFL, he's going to be one of those 5, right? So good, high second round, particularly where we are on the ladder. Our second round is considered top, one of the first second rounders in the top of the thing. So it has decent value. So, we're going to be right. Getting currency is not going to be the problem. It's going to be the list spots who's going to get cut. That's why, even though I'm a Sonsy advocate and I hopefully signs for one more year, but he's one that I think might get jettisoned. I've got a feeling, some of our we're going to make some hard calls, put it that way.
Interesting.
But there's going to be method to the madness. But they'll be done late.
I think this sums up what you're probably alluding to. Hooley and Greg time, those types of players to fill.
Spot on. That's what we need, because at the moment our kids are too young, right? We're asking too much, right? So we need that crop to come in to guide them through, give them the gradual exposure and make us really competitive. And, the reason also to allow us to put layers into our game plan, because you've got conditioned, hardened bodies that have gone through 2-3 pre-seasons already, more than the younger kids that we have, which is the majority of our list. They can, they've got that conditioning to be able to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things in a game plan, while the others come online. So I reckon 2 top 3. But
Reece, to clarify, we're talking mid-tier. So kind of like your Hooley, Greg type areas, not your A+, but
not
your
all of them.
Players.
I reckon B to A. That's not A+, but B to A. That's what I see.
I like it. Well, good to play out.
And don't be surprised if we pay overs with a few.
Well, if you want to...
We need to put our cap somewhere. Don't be surprised if we pay his stupid numbers.
It's like... Yeah, we're in a unique spot, though, where we can afford to front load a contract or two quite heavily to reach the cap number or whatever, and then lower it down as the years go on.
That's right.
To then pay for the young kids that we've got currently. So... Interesting times ahead. Oh, well, we'll finish on that note. But Tiggs, I appreciate your insights as always, and we will no doubt keep checking in and keep having further
Blight's
updates.
Gone. Yeah, I'm 80. Jono. Yeah, mate. I want Blight to stay, but I've got a really strong feeling he's gone. I think he's going to go back to WA. And there was another one that said, and I really want to do it because I'm not normally a dickhead. People might disagree. But where's that? Can you highlight Solar YT's question mark? Yeah, I would love to, mate. I would. But if you're probably new to the show, but for the last 4 years, where I get my mail from, that's more than just smoke and mirrors, which I believe are concrete. I give my word I won't break it unless they give me the okay, because I've got to protect because sometimes with some of the names, when that name's mentioned, they'll know who told me, because it only comes from a small group. So I've been promised that within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'm going to be put off the chain, and I'll be allowed to come. But I'm excited. I'm trying to give you guys, get excited. And I said this last off season. This year, next year's, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Be interesting. There's plenty of moving parts.
Yeah,
plenty of moving parts, and hopefully we see some list changes. I'd still like to get a Josh Lindsay in. I still think he would be a handy addition with one of the draft picks. But at the end of the day, I will put full faith into Blair and the team with whatever they want to do.
I want to like what I've heard, which is different from Hardwick. Hardwick was pretty much, this is the type of player I want, but you go for it, and he was just completely hands off, sort of, unless it was a gun. And then when Blair would say, look, we need you to call Lynch, We need you to do this, X and Y. Yuzo's completely different. Yuzo's, from what I'm hearing, is right in there with him. This is where I'm at with the game plan. This is where the plan. Yeah, he's invested in building this side, and that actually makes me really excited about Yuzo, which is the excitement I didn't have. I'll be honest, for a good chunks of this year. But now that I'm getting into the part of the year that I love, I'm starting to hear from people that would know. Yeah, no, he's fully invested. He's really switched on. Knows exactly what he wants to create. Everyone's on the same page, and that's what you want to hear from board.
Yes,
all on the same page.
Yeah,
so
you
it's
don't
pretty
want to
exciting.
be disjointed. I think that's you can see it as well. What Tubby Josh is, you can see they all have a lot of love for each other as playing group and coaches. So, all right, well, that's interesting bit of info. We'll watch this space and we'll keep readdressing it as the weeks roll on, and then I think we'll eventually name one of the shows Tigs Unchained. As per what?
Oh yeah, 100%.
What you said you're allowed 100%. To do, and we'll roll with that. But Tiggs, thank you so much for your time tonight, mate. Good
no
to get
problem,
your thoughts
guys.
on the games and the selections and whatnot. And we will reconvene next week to talk about the team to take on the Kangaroos. So until next week, everybody, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.